Hello YouTube, this is Judging Game 44, and dang, it is hot. Yup, me and my Dragon Cowper, as you can see, are pretty much in the fire realm, and we haven't got fireproof suits. That's going to be a problem, but we can handle the heat. Let's just hope we can get the fire escape, because that's the name of this video here for this episode. Okay, this is Season 3, Episode 1 of Dragon the Nine Realms. Fire escape is the first episode. So let's talk about it. The episode begins with Tom, surprisingly, wearing armor. Now, this is kind of like the saddle thing, what they did in Season 2, where the saddles just appeared and no one questions it. But at this time, they actually acknowledge it, that it's something new, and they actually explain a little bit how it was made, which I'll give the show points for that. And actually, the dragon armor does not really look bad. I do like the way how it looks, but honestly, I think it would have looked better if they would have actually gone with Thunder's design, making it black and white. And I have seen some fan art where people made it, which honestly, it's pretty cool looking. But this one doesn't really look all that great. I mean, not as great from the movie, but in the modern day ages and the way how they're trying to make it look, yeah, it's alright. Like with the helmet and the, I don't know what you call it, the glass or something. Anyway, seriously, as me and the dragon are sweating through here, let's explain how it goes. Thunder and Tom decide to go in, where it turns out, them going inside, it's really actually hot. So they need fireproof suits, and when they try to with fireproof suits, they start burning, they fly all the way back. I am not gonna lie, it was funny, but I did not like the joke what they did with it, where everyone's like, wow, look at where he goes, wow, where we're seeing who their expressions, but we don't really see what's going on, what they see. When they do a joke like that, actually, any show that does a joke like that, I am not impressed. It's actually boring. We're saying, okay, so can we see what you're seeing? Please, the cameraman? But no, and eventually, though, we do eventually see Tom and Thunder just somehow into a big fireball, flying right back and hitting the ground. Not gonna lie, that was funny. They go back up discussing and talking on the surface how they're going to make fireproof suits. Honestly, the jokes here are funny in this episode as well. Like D'Angelo tells Alex, "Don't worry, you don't have to keep making 1,000 suits. You just gotta make 4 that can actually work." Okay, no, fair enough. Okay, no, seriously though, with D'Angelo, this is actually funny. Plus, with the phone thing where he says, "Are you crazy?" and keeps repeating it. It's alright. Plus, he does it for only this episode when Tom comes up with a crazy idea and D'Angelo decides to record what he said, "Are you crazy?" and just replaying it every time throughout this episode when Tom has a crazy idea. It's only one episode though, so it's okay. Now, during this episode, we get to see more of Eugene and Buzzsaw as these two actually meet up. And really, it's actually interesting how these two talk, because Buzzsaw mentioned the lightning bird and describes it, and D'Angelo remembers seeing it in June's book, and she realized it probably was a dragon, where he's now starting to believe dragons are real. And later on that night, as they were in the woods, they actually discover a dragon. Of course, though Buzzsaw had his head turned, and Eugene could not believe it. I know I keep saying I would call him Gene, but I don't know why I'm calling him Eugene now. Anyway, no, let's really get back into it. That's all with their story. Eventually, though, they get separated by an accident, and Eugene is lost. Buzzsaw is left wandering around the woods. And that's that for that story. It's honestly nice to see how these two characters were acting. I was actually hoping more these two would be more like a team instead of Eugene for his future episodes. But I do like what they did with the season, though. But no, we're not here to talk about the full season. We're just here to talk about this episode. So let's get back into that. Really, for the remainder of this episode, besides what that was going on with that plot, Eugene was pretty much bored and everything and that's how he stumbled across Buzzsaw as he was trying to find out where his sister was going. But really, what goes on with June and everyone else is right now in this episode, they're trying to find a way to make the fireproof suits work. Which, to a surprise, they're going to with Fish. Tom decides to get a fire dragon from the fire realm to come so they can fireproof test their suits, which apparently doesn't really work. really a good idea. Everyone complains about the whole entire fish idea, but Tom said it's a genius idea to tame a dragon. After all, that's how I tamed Thunder. Which, I'm not gonna lie, I'm thinking the writers put that joke in because a lot of people were complaining. Tom was honestly the least good taming a dragon compared to the other three. Like June respecting a dragon, Alex the dragon comfort her, and pretty much D'Angelo actually helping his. All that Tom did was give him a piece of fish, and they felt this strong bond from their ancestors. And then they were bonded. Although, pretty much feeding the fish thing was the only that really happened. But really, after making that joke, a monster nightmare appears, which I got to say looks good. I know a lot of people are saying this night. Now, I know a lot of people are saying this monster nightmare looks a lot similar to this one in the original show, and from a original writer in How to Train Your Dragon in the Writers of Berk and the Defenders of Berk. Now, personally, to me, I do not care about that whole entire thing because really they had made a bunch of different color designed monster nightmares and grunkles and pretty much all those type of random dragons. Like we got blue grunkle, a red grunkle in the original show, if you remember, from Riders and Defenders of Berk. And all honestly, it's okay really. I don't really mind this. And heck, it's pretty much cool to see it fly. Some people may complain about bringing back the original dragons, but personally to me, I don't really care about that because, like I said in one of my previous reviews, I don't mind if that they bring back as long as they bring new dragons in, because How to Train Your Dragon has brought so many new dragons in from the first movie and the second, and the TV series. There's so many kinds of dragons they all brought in from those series, and honestly, I don't really mind that. And honestly, in How to Train Your Dragon 3, well, you get the point. The point is, there's so many kinds of dragons. I don't expect How to Train Your Dragon of Dragon 9 Realms to do the exact same thing, where it does have to bring every kind of new dragon brand new. So, other than that, let's get into this really with the rest of the episode. Tom is now trying to tame the monster nightmare and actually give it a fish. And quite honestly, it's funny. But June and the others are all complaining at Tom. It's not a good idea to just throw it fish and let the other dragons watch. Honestly, that would have been a better idea because really what happens is Tom is trying to get the dragon to do what he wants by feeding him fish. It's more like doing a trick thing. But eventually all the writers have had it and pretty much told Tom he's not a machine. He's just a wild animal trying to live out his life. Tom realizes that they're right, so he just gives the fish for free. And the dragon decides to do what it says because Tom is basically not commanding him. Okay, I will admit, I didn't realize this until other people pointed it out. And honestly, yeah, I do agree with them what they said about that whole entire thing, about this whole entire scenario. Like, the writers, honestly, the other reviewers that said about this, I actually agree with, and I didn't realize it at first, but they were right. Really, why Tom was really not controlling, but that could have been an interesting story arc like they could have done with Eugene or Buzzsaw later on in the series. Or heck, Tom might have actually started doing that because he was a dragon expert and he could basically just command or act like they're more machines when it comes with other dragons. Something like that. But really, I think the problem here, I think it could have worked better if like all the dragons were getting mad that they're just being forced to watch Tom with all the fish he has, and that's what causes the problem because they're getting upset and mad with this. Which, in all honesty, yeah, that is a kind of true point with wild animals, especially with your own pets. Like with my cat, when I bring home a brand new cat, I have to pretty much feed them separate and not feed them together because they will not like it. Like if I said, "Oh hey, new one, you want some food?" The other one will get mad. You're feeding that one, and they might try to scoot the other away. Believe me, that happened to me in the past a few times when I was trying to feed a stray, and the other one surprisingly came up. I didn't even realize, and then attacked the poor kitten. I'm just bringing that out there. I mean, that's how it could have gone with this. But really, what goes on in this episode here is that this dragon released a bunch of green goo, and Tom is covering it. And what happens? They fly off. together accidentally because of the monster nightmare getting out of the cave that they were in. Which, why do they have to test the fire suits all the way back at their entrance? But still, it was a cool entrance seeing the monster nightmare being actually able to fly out of the hidden world. I bet he was so happy to be the first monster nightmare in 1,000 years to actually be out. But nonetheless, Tom eventually jumps onto him, tries to get him to turn around, and that's when he powers up and burns like a flare. And what happens? Tom does not burn. Now, I get the point what they were trying to do, and at first, okay. At first, though, I thought this was just a stupid idea because giving the dragon a new ability. At first, maybe I thought it was a evolution, but then I found out in Erasing the Edge, monster nightmares actually have this ability, which kind of stupid, though, if you ask me. I wish they had done that with a brand new dragon, but no, still. Turns out it was flaming gel that they can use to power up. But the problem here is, though, since people who know Race of the Edge, if they know about this gel, when it dries, it's actually not something that's flammable, where basically you could use it to protect yourself. It actually can still be very flammable, flaming if it's set on fire, which was actually what the Race of the Edge did, not to use for dragon armor or anything. But other than that, really, here it's used as gel to actually sew the suits together, which serves the purpose of getting the suits. Although I kind of was a bit surprised that it didn't actually burn Tom's clothes or anything, because the gel was not all over him. It was only on his back and everything, which I guess it makes sense since he was sitting on. But since how big those flames, yeah, I can see why some people complain about it. But in all honesty, not really a big deal, but with the rating the show is usually given, it's still not really a bad thing. It's still kind of like a surprise, though, actually. Although there may be some other reasons, depending on why the show is rated at a certain way, for this or that, but really, I'm not going to get into all that. But, and otherwise, this was actually a good episode. I really love that we were getting more spread out, where we see what Eugene is doing, we see what Buzzsaw is doing, we see what the Dragon Riders are doing. Honestly, we get to see more things going on in this episode than compared to the other 2 seasons we got, where more things are going on. That's honestly what I like about this season. And the other episodes are like that in this season as well, besides season 1. I mean, no, besides episode 1, sorry. But no, seriously, I hope you all did enjoy this review as I did. Until then, this is Judging Game 44, signing out. Until then, I'll see you all later. Bye!